In episode 1, we told our family story of our journey with XQ28 Duplication. Today, we'll talk with our daughter, who is traveling the same road with her son. Stay tuned.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Exceptional Stories and the People Who Live Them. Your host is Steve Dover, a special needs advocate and father of 2 special needs sons. This is a faith-based, in-depth conversation-styled podcast with and for parents of special needs children. This podcast will let you have a front row seat to hear how they do it, why they do it, and what you can learn from their experiences as they share their exceptional stories. Let's get started.
Welcome, my friends, to another captivating episode of Exceptional Stories and the People Who Live Them. Today, we'll embark on a deeply personal exploration into the intricate world of genetic legacies as we delve into the profound impact of XQ28 duplication on second-generation individuals. My guest today is Kaylee Sartin, our daughter. She shares a story that transcends generations, weaving a tale of strength, love, and the complexities of inherited quirks. In a remarkable twist of fate, Kaylee's journey with XQ28 duplication echoes through her family's history. She brings a unique perspective to the table. Kaylee's familial connection to this condition doesn't end with her own experiences. She watched her brother navigate life with the same diagnosis, a poignant narrative we explored in episode 1. Now, as a mother of Wyatt, an almost 6-year-old with XQ28 duplication, Kaylee opens up about the challenges, the triumphs, and the emotional roller coaster of caring for her son, offering us a glimpse into the echoes of her past and the profound impact it holds for her family's future. Join us as we listen to the heartwarming and challenging moments that define our family's exceptional journey. Welcome back to this week's episode. I'm glad you're here with us. I have a very special guest with me that I want you to meet. I have known this girl since she was about 10 years old and actually ran around, tried to keep up with her for several of those years until she moved out of the house. We've got our daughter Kaylee with us today. And just as kind of a background for any new listeners that may be coming on, in episode 1 of this podcast, my wife and I, Kaylee's mom, got together and talked about Kaylee's brother Noah that had a genetic disorder. It was diagnosed as XQ28 duplication. We covered a lot of that, his life and his unfortunate passing from that back in 2015. But you heard us mention our children, our other children in that episode, and Kaylee is one of those kids that was involved in that, and she was instrumental in the care and helping us with the care of Noah. And so we're going to get some sibling input on that. But she gave birth to our first grandson, Wyatt, and he also has the XQ28 duplication. So we're going to be talking about that as form of an update from the first episode because there's so much new technology available. And I have gone longer in your introduction than I promised you I would. So how are you doing, baby girl?
I'm doing good. How are you, Stu?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. If the folks knew how many times you had cornered me and asked me, when are you going to interview me on the podcast? When are you going to get me on there? And I said, well, I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for everything to flow right. And your time finally came. So you're in the hot seat now. It's all you. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's go back just a little bit and kind of talk about Noah a little bit, and then we'll transition into modern day with Wyatt. But you were a early teenager when Noah passed away. You were
I was
15,
16.
16?
I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I turned 17 in July after he passed.
Yeah. What are some things you remember about seeing XQ28 from a sibling's point of view? You had to grow up pretty quick with it.
Yeah, from a very early age, it was very scary. But I just had to deal. I had to learn how to cope with it. And Mom and Dad got divorced when I was about 9 years old, and it was just me, Mom, and Noah living by ourselves, and I had to help out some. And it wasn't that I wanted to. I'm sorry, it wasn't that I had to. It was that I wanted to. And it was a pleasure of mine. But we saw some very unfortunate events in those 13 years of his life that I wouldn't wish for many people to see.
A lot of hospital stays and
yes.
A lot of traumatic things happening. Plus, me and you and your mother, we all had to learn how to take care of him. We had to adjust with his care needs, and some of that was an easy transition because he was. We've always said out of the 4 kids, he was the lowest maintenance kid of all of y'all. But and anybody that says raising boys and girls is the same is crazy. There is a huge difference between raising boys and girls. But we had to jump in and learn how to take care of him, and that meant doing when he had his feeds, doing medicine. He had severe burns that we had to learn how to do wound care and stuff with that. So it was just a little bit of everything we had to deal with.
Yes, and I learned how to do it too, so that way I could bring that information to my dad over here in Georgia, so that way he could learn how to do it, and that way also there was another person that knew how to do it there.
Yeah. Well, what I know for me, it was I didn't have, like you said, I didn't have to take care of Noah. I got to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you felt that way too. That even through the hardest times and looking back on it, we still had fun. We still laughed and joked and tried to make the best out of every situation we were in.
Yes. No matter how hard it was, Noah was my best friend. He went through a lot of stuff, but I'm glad that we all stayed close-knit as a family and helped each other get through all that. Because it was definitely some rough times, but I also don't want anybody to think that there wasn't any good times, because there were.
No, you take each day and take what you're dealt with for that day, and there's going to be days that are just flat out going to stink. They're going to be hard days, but then there's other days that we're able to laugh and enjoy being together. One of the funniest things I remember was we were living in Oxford at the time, and we came to Fort Payne for something and had to park downtown. Well, silly me had let the gas run low in the van, and the way the van was tilted, the gas was going away from the pickup, so it was basically acting like it was out of gas. So I had to make, I don't know how many trips up the street to the gas station and buy a half a gallon or a gallon at a time and bring it back and put it in the van. And while y'all just sat there and watched me, and then when we got enough in there to where it would crank, we all just bailed in the van. And I know somebody driving by thought we'd robbed a bank or something.
Yes, they had to.
It was arms and legs and everything.
They had
Noah
to.
was just sitting back there in the back saying, Noah was sitting back there in the back of the van just looking like, I travel with a bunch of idiots. These guys are crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still have a laugh about that for sure.
Yes.
Well, you grew up, moved out, and let's see, coming up on 6 years ago, you gave birth to Wyatt, and take us through that. You knew that that there would be a risk of passing this on, and you found out while you were pregnant that did pass it on. So kind of walk us through that.
It was very crazy. I found out that I was pregnant and that I was a carrier of this genetic disorder in the same day. So that was a lot of information to take in. But we just kind of rolled with it. And then at 16 weeks, I had an amniocentesis done, which is where they go in and draw amniotic fluid and test the matter around the baby to see what's going on with the baby. And at 19 weeks, we got the call that he was diagnosed with XQ28 duplication. And also with that came MECP2 duplication, which is another disorder that comes in with XQ28, and that's where seizures are caused.
Okay. And that was, that I think is one benefit you had over when your mom was pregnant. She didn't know that was on the table, and didn't really find out that there was any issues with Noah until after he was born, and he started missing some milestone markers.
Yes.
At an early age. But you knew that was a chance, and then when you found out about it, I would imagine you had mixed emotions. You were,
yeah, I did. Mom, she always, growing up through my teenage years, she said, when you turn 18, I want you to go get tested to see if you're a carrier. And I would always tell her, Mom, I kind of have a feeling that I am, but I'll go and just make sure, because I want a safe answer too. So like I said, I did, and found out that I was a carrier and pregnant in the same day at actually it was a few weeks after I turned 19.
What thoughts were running through your mind at that point? I'm sure you were experiencing several emotions all at the same time.
Yes, it was terrifying. Me and Todd both were scared, but we had very supporting family. You and Mom really stepped in and was like, okay, well, we got a grandbaby on the way. Let's get prepared. And Todd's family was very supportive too of us being young parents and stepping into this huge uncertainty. But my pregnancy was rough. Mom will tell you my pregnancy was rough, but now I wouldn't take it back. He's the sweetest baby ever.
Yeah. What was Todd thinking at this time? His family had never had anything, had never experienced anything like this, and this was foreign to them. Where was his mind at this time? Have y'all talked about that?
He was scared too. But his mom, she always has done all the research and everything, and both he and, him and his sister and his mom and his dad, everybody, they started diving in to do research, and, okay, we've never had a special needs person in our family, but we need to figure out what we need to be expecting here. Mm-hmm. They would start asking. That's whenever they started really asking stories about Noah and experiences with him and things like that. Because this is kind of like autism, where it can vary. Mm-hmm. There's Noah's story is so much different than Wyatt's already. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Todd, I would imagine, was terrified. We were fresh out of high school when we got pregnant, so it was very terrifying for both of us.
Well, you mentioned about the differences from the time your mom was pregnant with Noah to the time you got pregnant with Wyatt, and what are some of the advances that have been made that you had it, that you were able to take advantage of that maybe weren't there 18, 19 years ago. I think Noah would have been 21 or 22 now, something like that.
Yeah. So with Mom, she didn't really, like, there was nothing to base what she was going through with Noah off of, because we had never had anybody in our family like that before. So she didn't get a diagnosis for Noah until he was 5. And then with us, I would say the biggest advantage point was being able to get into a high risk doctor and take it week by week. And, just the technology updated, like, as far as in the hospital and being able to take care of them, has updated a lot since Noah was a baby as well. They've been able to take a lot better care of him than I feel like what should have been administered to Noah in his early years.
Yeah. And I know that you have had to educate some doctors about XQ28, because they may have read it in a textbook before, but they've never seen a living person that's got that. And your mom had to do the same thing with Noah. I watched her do it a bunch of times.
When we got Wyatt's diagnosis, we went ahead and, after he was born, got him tested again just to make sure. And when those results came back, his geneticist was the same geneticist that Noah had that diagnosed him. And she said within those years, there had only been one other boy diagnosed with what they have. And it's so uncommon that it's like a shot in the dark, very few and far in between people know about it, and you have to explain it to everybody that you come in contact with. They're like, oh yeah, what's wrong with him? And here you go on a schooling lecture. You pretty much, I had about a 30-second elevator speech type thing that I would use when people would ask, so I wouldn't go into a whole lot of detail, but I would tell them enough to where they would actually know what's going on. But one of the cool things that came out of this, though, Noah, he was treated majority of his life at Children's Hospital in Birmingham. And because of where you live, your closest hospital that can take care of Wyatt is in Chattanooga. And it's amazing how it worked out that one of the same doctors that took care of Noah is now one of Wyatt's doctors at a totally different hospital. Yes, he was doing student work in Birmingham when Noah was there, and all these years later, we found out that Wyatt needed to go to a pulmonologist. So we got set up for an appointment, and I asked Mom if she would go with me because Todd had to work, and in comes the pulmonologist, and I'm not thinking anything of it, and Mom is like, oh my gosh, it's Dr. Boots. And I'm like, what's going on? She was like, he took care of Noah. And I was like, oh my gosh, such a small world. And he has been absolutely phenomenal in his caretaking of Wyatt and making sure that everything has been great with him. As a matter of fact, a couple of months ago, we got completely dismissed from his care, from pulmonology care. He does not feel a need for Wyatt to be under pulmonology care anymore. We're finally good enough to be away from one specialist.
That was Noah's big issue was respiratory and pulmonology. And there was a fear that Wyatt would have that, but his lungs are strong right now. There's no issues with that. He did have to have some thickened feeds early because of the aspiration fear, and he was aspirating for a little while, but that seems to have gotten better. He's able to eat whatever he wants to eat now, so that's good.
Yeah, we've been off of thicket for a year now.
Huh?
We have been thicket free for a year now. We saw that in our memories on Facebook the other day.
Well, that so Wyatt will be 6 in April, and
Yes.
tell us where he's at now. He will probably always be in diapers all of his life. That's a given. But where are we at now as far as therapies and what we're trying to get him to accomplish and where we're trying to get him to?
So I have been fighting for the past year trying to get him into therapy for physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, but we recently finally, Miss Amy was finally able to get us in for a physical therapy evaluation. So we're hoping to get that ball rolling soon. But he is 6 years old. I want to say about 3'6" and right under 50 pounds. And he is dead weight. He does not put any weight on his feet. He does not walk. So it's a struggle for me and Todd. And you and Mom know as well, whenever he comes to y'all's house, how hard it is.
He is a chunky monkey.
Yes. But we're trying. He has started doing this new thing where if he's on a soft surface like the couch or the bed, he wants to get up on his knees and reach for things. I don't think he's a huge fan of doing it in the hardwood floor, but I'll take what I'm getting.
But that's something he started recently doing. Within the last few months,
yes.
Right?
Yes. And I feel like he would put weight on his feet if we had the correct braces, but he's outgrown his braces and we have to wait to get into therapy to get a new pair. It's a long story, but.
Well, he's trying anyway, and
yes,
that's good to see. What is the prognosis with XQ28 duplication? Have they given you anything? I mean, we know through Noah's life what to expect, but have they got him on any kind of timeline of what they think may be happening or what might start happening?
I don't think I can't remember that we've ever heard one. Noah, whenever he was diagnosed, I know was given until I think like late teens, early 20s, if that.
Yeah, early adulthood. Yeah.
At early adulthood. So I'm guessing that might be the same for Wyatt, but who knows? It might completely surprise us. Yeah. He might live to be 30 years old. We never know. Yeah. But like you and Mom and Dad, all of y'all put together, we're always focused on giving Noah the best life in the short amount of time that we had with him, and that's what me and Todd are focused on with Wyatt. Just exploring new things with him and letting him see the world as much as possible and trying to teach him things, even though he's nonverbal, and that's super hard to do.
Yeah.
We try to do things though, and just give him as much excitement as any other kid would get.
He loves to go to the aquarium and go to the zoo and stuff like that. And
the aquarium is his favorite. He loves going to the aquarium. And he recently, we took him because you and Mom got him a membership for Christmas. We took him the first time. It wasn't his first time at the aquarium, but his first time with the membership. And we got to the aquarium and they have a stingray bay where you can pet the stingrays. And so I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter that he can't stand up. I can. I know it'll be rough, but I'll hold him over this water and let him pet a stingray. So I did. And honey, the next thing I know, he's trying to scoop this whole stingray up out of this water. And I'm freaking out. I'm hoping that the workers are not going to get upset at us. But I felt the whole stingray just slide down my arm when I was trying to get his arm out of the water.
You didn't freak out at all, did you?
Oh, yes, I did.
Well, it's good that you found things that he enjoys. He likes to sit and watch his videos and TV and stuff like that, but it's good to get him away from that from time to time and let him experience stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we live close to the Chickamauga battlefield in Georgia, and when it is warm outside, that's one of our favorite places to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different monuments that are different textures out there and things. And we introduce him to all of it, and he loves it. One of his favorite places to be whenever it's warm outside.
Yeah. You mentioned family earlier. I know you've got a good support network to help with him. We're honored to be part of it. But how big is that? To have a support network, a family, and all of that'll just pitch in and help, and because respite care is important for the parents as well. Y'all need a break, and y'all need some time. And how important is that for you?
It's a huge deal, really. I'm so thankful to have the team that we do behind us. Y'all are great. Todd's family is fantastic as well, and I really don't know where we would be without y'all. Y'all have been there every step of the way through the journey, and been there through some really, really difficult times, and been there when we were up on top of the hill, and but it's a huge deal to have a great support system. And Jen, which is Todd's mom, she helps out a lot. We'll keep him, and y'all get him a lot and help us. And that's a huge deal to me and Todd whenever, we're dealing with a fussy baby and we're sitting here trying to figure things out and we can't, and it just goes on for weeks and weeks, and we're not getting good night's sleep, and that affects us, and but recently, another thing I know we talked about earlier before we started recording was how you wanted to kind of touch on the dye changes that we did, and that's part of it with his, him acting absolutely terrible and us sending him to you and mom or Jen was part of him just having meltdowns all the time, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And I've been seeing a lot about how artificial dyes like red 40, yellow 6, and blue 1 plays into kids' behaviors, their sleep patterns and everything. So I thought, you know what? Let's see if we can't find some things and get this boy off of any dye.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what it does. Let's get him on a few vitamins that will help even him out, get him a good sleep pattern going, calm him down. So we started doing that, and we're a little over a week into it, and it has done absolutely fantastic. He sleeps good now. He's not fussing all day long. He's doing so good with it. And that also makes it easier too, because I'm not feeling like a bad mom for calling y'all up saying, I need help. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, he would have meltdowns at your house, and y'all didn't understand what was going on. And we would come get him, keep him for 2 or 3 days, and have zero problems. And y'all figured out that what you were giving him had these dyes in it, and he was reacting to that, where the food that we fed him here didn't have it, and he was a mellow cookie here. I mean, the only time he would raise his voice is if we wouldn't feed him fast enough, when he was hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But y'all figured out that the dyes, it was related to the dyes in the food and the drinks, especially. And that kudos to y'all for figuring that out, because it has made a difference.
It has. We've all been able to sleep here recently, and that does a person tons of good.
Yeah. What's on the horizon? Y'all you live in the state of Georgia, and you're working on getting some therapies lined up.
Yes, we're working on getting him in therapy, and We're also doing homeschooling with him, which right now at this point, it's not like structured school. We're doing it what works best for him.
Right.
So we're getting therapies lined up, and like I said, we're doing homeschooling. And we're really just sitting in this warm house waiting for weather to get warm so we can do more fun things outside.
Yeah, we've had an Arctic blast here the last couple of weeks, and it's kind of made everybody homebodies on the inside, having to stay inside.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the first week of that, your mother and I were on a cruise, and it was 80 degrees or 90 degrees and sunny, and we were on the beach suffering, and on the cruise ship eating all that food and suffering while y'all were freezing.
Yeah, while it was 14 degrees here. Yeah.
We paid for it on the way back, though, because we had some rough seas on the last day, and it looked like we had bought the drink package, because every time we'd try to walk, we'd staggering all over the boat. It was funny. It was funny. But while y'all were here suffering with that, we were out suffering in the Gulf of Mexico. So, sorry about all that. If you're joining us late, this is my daughter, Kaylee, and I have earned the right to pick on her this way. So don't send me any emails and don't get mad about it. We both have thick skin and we go at each other all the time. So don't worry about that. Well, I appreciate you coming on today and sharing some things about Wyatt. And it's amazing how far the medical field has progressed in just 8 years since Noah passed away. They're finding out more. It's still a very rare diagnosis, and a lot is not known about it, but they know more than they did 8 years ago. And so we're just hoping and praying that everything slows down a little bit, and he's able to enjoy being around everybody, and we'll face the hard times when they get here, but we'll be thankful for the good times while we're going through them.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We'll give that monkey a hug and a kiss for Poppy, okay?
I will. He just got out of the bath right before this episode, so I'm going to go in there and get some good night lovings before he goes to bed.
That's the best kind. That's the best kind. Well, I'll talk to you later. I appreciate you coming on.
All right. Love you, Stu.
Love you, babe. Before we go, I want to thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. If you are the parent of a special needs child and wish to share your story with us or know someone we should talk with on the show, send an email to exceptionalstoriespodcast@gmail.com. If you've been enjoying the show, we'd love to hear from you. If you can take a minute, just leave us a 5-star rating on your preferred podcast platform. It would mean the world to us. Your ratings help us reach more listeners and continue to bring the quality content that you've learned to enjoy. I also want to invite you to follow us on our social media pages. You can find us on both Facebook and Instagram at Exceptional Stories Podcast. Lastly, if you found this podcast informative and you would like to keep it going, go to our website at www.exceptionalstoriespodcast.com. Click on the support button on our homepage. For as little as $3 per month, you can play an active role in making sure these stories are heard. Thank you for choosing to spend your precious time with us. Remember, you're not alone. Together, we'll create a world that embraces and supports every exceptional story. Until next week, be blessed.